adjusting the mic. Hi there. I think this is good. Hi. I'm so excited to have you here today because I am sharing with you what I wish I knew before I did my first diet. Well, my first diet, I was actually 8 years old, but the one I want to talk about today, I was 16, okay? When I was back 16 years old, over one summer, I had gained 5 pounds, and it actually was the end of the world. My family were stressed about that. My doctor claimed I was overweight, which I wasn't. And a lot of my swimming coaches were telling me I need to be careful eating those Lebanese sweets because otherwise I'm going to be sinking at the bottom of the pool, which is kind of no, because if you have more fat in your body, you actually float more. But anyways, that's for another conversation. And what I wanted to come today to share with you is I wanted to talk about why diet fails and what to do instead. But I really want to be more open, sharing exactly what happened in terms of my story. Sometimes saying like, I wish that didn't happen, but where I am right now and being able to help and transform people's lives is because through my struggles and through my strength of moving beyond it, I'm able right now to help people banish the binge, the bloat, release any unwanted eating behaviors, unleash massive energy, and all without dieting or struggling with food. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Dina Merby. I'm a body balance coach and I am a clinical dietitian, but then I felt something was missing. So I did therapy lessons, therapy classes, certifications, yoga teacher, NLP practitioner, honestly, name it. I love all the titles because I am the kind of person who believes that if something is not feeling aligned to you, you need to find the right answer. And a bit of a nerd. I end up going and finding those answers for myself. So this is going to resonate with you because many people go through this. And many people, when I end up talking to them, they're saying, I wish I didn't start my first diet. If only I can go back to that weight. When I want to start with that first diet, like I would die to go back to that weight. That weight is nothing to compare to where I am right now. So this is why I want to talk about this because even me, if I look back, I'm like, wow, if I didn't gain that 5 pounds, I know I would have lost it at one shape or form through my fitness and so on. But then my mind went into the dieting. This is why whenever we're teasing people, we're talking about the weight, you don't realize how impactful it is because you could have gained 5 pounds, or you could have gained 50 pounds, and people bullying, body shaming is there. It's exhausting and it can really affect people's self-esteem. And it did for young me, 15, 16 years old. But all this to say is that when I was in that age, I jumped on a diet. I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to lose 5 pounds. Then I was cheered upon, right? When you start doing and they're like, wow, you have so much control. And I lost the weight, but then I kept losing more and more. People were happy because my practice time was actually getting better, but then it veered its ugly head where my dieting became too restricting and I actually fell under anorexia, which made my family panic, made my coach panic, went to see doctors, dietitians. I was very stubborn. I didn't listen to anybody. I listened to one doctor at one point that snapped me out of it in a certain way, and I was lucky enough, I was able to snap away from anorexia when I was 16. But it's crazy how when you start creating that first diet, that first change, feeling that you have control over your body, you don't realize that what happens is that your body and your mind ends up taking control over you. The way that I was seeing food, the way I would see myself in the mirror, it completely got distorted. And then I went from the anorexia phase to a stint of maybe 1 week of bulimia, if I can say that. And then I went to binge eating, which back then was only labeled as overeater. You can't control yourself. Can't you just not have the cookie? Binge eating is something that is now said as a mental health issue, as disordered eating. But back then it was just like a lack of control. And it's not. When somebody is using food to self-soothe as a coping mechanism and they're not feeling good, this is not something that is within their control. This is a survival thing. So, number one. But when I'm going through that phase of binge eating, I went to do my certification as a dietitian, and yet I did not know what the issue was. I was doing everything that I was being taught in school. Everything in school, I was doing it, I was following it. And everything got worse because whatever I was taught in school was still the dieting world, right? Counting carbs, counting calories, measure your food, and so on. And I was doing everything because I was an amazing student, but it was not working on me. So I had all this self-guilt of not feeling good, of feeling like a failure, and feeling like a fraud as a dietitian as well. I graduated. A lot of people said, Like, I was overweight in the sense that I was a higher weight than what I was in my teens. And I was teased that I would not get clients. Who's going to come see a fat dietitian? Like, wow, I had these amazing comments growing up. Laughing about it right now because look at me now. And what I ended up doing is that I went and I was working at a clinic, and I had people that were struggling with eating disorders, with binge eating back then that was not labeled, remember? And I was like, wow, I am not the only one. I'm giving them the recommendations. I'm telling them what my schooling taught me to tell them. And even they are struggling. And that's when I had a wake-up call. That's like, okay. So I was taught the dieting. I did the diet, and I am still struggling, okay? This does not make sense. So I am not this kind of like, how can I say that? This rare person that it's not working. All my clients, it was not working. The dieting, the framework, the calorie counting was making their symptoms worse. And that's what woke me up. That's when I realized dieting made everything worse. Dieting is not the solution. Dieting is actually the problem for 95% of people, because when we are struggling with our body, with our food, even with diabetes, even with blood pressure, even with cholesterol, if we are not able to follow a plan that is told for us to follow, and then we end up getting off track and we're overeating and we're like, oh, I'm a failure, I'm not able to follow it, it's because that dieting does not work. Okay? It doesn't. Because let's think about it. Before I did my first diet, I didn't have any issues with food. I would have my dessert, I would eat my bread, I had everything, my weight was stable, I had no issue with food. I did not see food as good or bad, it was just food. Yes, I was still teased a little bit, but I felt good, I felt confident. But what is the thing that messed me up? It was not that 5-pound weight gain. Because 5 pounds, honestly, if you think about it, you're like, man, it's just 5 pounds. It's the diet, that first diet that I did, that just created this whole mess in my mind, this whole mess in my habit, this whole mess in my life. That I started creating this link that my worth, my self-worth was related to my weight. That if I'm not able to stick to a diet, I am a failure, and this is where everything went wrong. But lesson learned, we move forward. I don't diet, none of my clients diet. But this is just to show you is that whenever you embark on that first diet, do know that you weren't really missing anything before. You might be missing some balancing, maybe you had blood sugar crashes. Like there's so many simple things that I do now with teenagers that are struggling with their weight, but I bring things in such a fun and happy way that there's no dieting. It's just connecting with their body, right? Because if you're connecting with your body, there's no good food, bad food. You're connecting with your body. And this is why I want to share today that dieting is made to make you fail. Okay, it's $1 billion industry. It's everywhere. And yes, it can give you a plan to follow, but if you don't do this one thing, this one crucial thing of tapping in, of listening to your body and uncovering the emotional reasons why you're going for food, of increasing your self-worth and your self-confidence, you will always be struggling with dieting and your food and your body. It's the honest truth. Because it is the moment when I realized that dieting was the problem. It's the moment that I start thinking outside the box. It's the moment that I accepted my body where it was at that point with the excess weight that I was not comfortable. It was at that point when I let go and I tuned in, and everything changed. But it wasn't something that was done overnight. I studied it. I read so many books about it. Back then, it was actually going to the library and grabbing those books. There wasn't a lot of, internet articles that we have right now, like social media. But I did so much research because no matter what research I did, dieting was actually the problem. It is never, ever the solution. And this is why when I work with my clients, I do create with them a guiding plan, something for them to start out, to take away the overwhelm of how to eat and the balance and the snacks. But you know where the beautiful work comes in? Is when we look at beyond the diet, when we look at beyond the food, and we tune into exactly what your body needs. Because when you are tuned in, when you're eating when you're hungry and you stop when you're full, and yes, you realign your life with the foods that you love and being able to know how to work with them and not to banish them for the rest of your life, you are free. You are free from binging, you are free from restriction, you are free from the excess weight, you are free from diabetes, you are free from blood pressure, you are free from so many things. But the one thing that you have to remember, the one decision that is the most important thing that you have to do is that no dieting, no restriction, no being hungry, no cutting out a whole food group, because the more that you do that, the more you're going to be stuck in that roller coaster. And I can say I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough that all this started when I was 16, and I would say at 23, ended up creating that system of creating that change for me, creating the change for my clients. But sometimes people are struggling with this for so long. And people are struggling with it for so long. I don't want you to go back to school and research and read the books. I went through it. I understand it. I know how tempting it is to see all these quick fix diets. And trust me, I've done my fair share of dieting. But it's when you make that decision of saying, I am done with the dieting. I'm done of embarking on another thing where I'm restricting and I'm not able to eat what I want to eat. And I'm ready to actually create this beautiful relationship with food, because food only wants the best for you and your body only wants the best for you. There's no hidden agenda. When you're ready to look beyond the dieting, beyond the food, this is where your breakthrough is waiting for you. It's waiting for you. It's not in a year, it's not in 5 years, it's not in 10 years, it's in a few weeks. This is why I have different ways of people to work with me. I have my masterclass that's less than $100. I have my group coaching program. I have my one-on-one coaching. There are different levels that are there to support you to start creating that change. But if you are done with this, if you are done with the weight up and down, if you're done with the binge eating, you're done with the emotional eating, we need to start somewhere. Message me. Let's see how we can do this work together. You didn't grab my guide and my workshop? Check the link right below. You can grab a copy. And for this week, I'm actually sharing at 50% off my masterclass, because I truly believe this is the first step that created so much change in all my clients, and I believe in you. If you bring in that masterclass, you do the 90-minute work and the workbook, you're going to realize that you haven't seen anything like that before. Because there's no restriction, there's no dieting. It's freedom. It's food freedom. It's health freedom. It's boosting your confidence, boosting your self-esteem. And this is what creates a balanced life, banishing the bloat, banishing the binging. It's not by working against your body, it's by working with your body. So I'm going to put all those links right below. I am so grateful to have you here, and share with me your story. Comment below or message me. Tell me what your story is, because a lot of times people are seeing me right now. They're like, wow, look at you. And I'm like, yeah. And the way I am right now in my life, you can have the exact same thing. There's nothing different between me and you. The big difference is that I'm an expert in this field. I did the work, I did the research so that you don't have to waste more time trying to figure this out on your own, or jumping on another diet that makes you lose maybe 10 pounds and gain 20 pounds. This is your time. I believe in you. I want you to have that beautiful dream that you've always been wanting. I want you to feel great in your clothes, and I want you to be able to have that box of cookies or chips in the cupboard and not even care about it. This is what I want for you. This is what we can do together. The first step is right below. I'm going to join the link to the masterclass. It's going to expire very soon, that 50% promo. And if there's any questions and you want to kind of talk it out and see how we can do one-on-one coaching together, message me. I'd be more than happy to talk. So on that, thank you for everybody who joined live. Thank you for everybody who's watching the replay. And if you know anybody who needs to hear this today, tag them below or share it with them. On that note, I wish you a beautiful and a balanced day. Dina Merby here, Body Balance Coach, helping you be free from the binge, be free from the bloat, without any diets, without restriction, just with tune in. Till next time.